Football Update with your host, Sean Spencer and Alex Loosemore.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday night. And yeah, we're getting close to that draft. So you know we got to talk about some college football. And you see my guy right here in that maize and blue. My guy, Mr. Alex Loosemore. What up, Alex?
Not too much, man. Always love talking football. Love talking it with this group especially. And yeah, can't wait for the draft and these guys that we're going to talk about here tonight.
Oh yeah. Definitely excited to talk about some sleepers. And you see that team that we can't sleep on in front of touchdown Jesus itself, my guy, EK Holiday. What up, EK?
Hey, man, just happy to be here. Even though Alex is here, I still keep coming back. Really love talking ball with y'all, so get into it.
Absolutely. Rivalries run deep on this show. And as you can see, the guy below me, the way South Carolina is supposed to be, below North Carolina. Let's go. Finally joined the background game. My guy, South Carolina's finest, Will Kramer. What up, Will?
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm excited to be on here, and like you all said, the draft's coming up here. It's just a couple weeks away. It's kind of surprising that we're already here. So excited to hear who you guys think are some sleepers, and I've got some ones to share as well.
Hey, absolutely. This being college football update, and look, let's go ahead and let's get right into it. Alex, I'm coming to you first. We alluded to this last week, and for those of you that did not watch, last week we did our show on the draft Saturday. We did our show draft preview, talked about some of these college guys, went around offense, defense, special teams, just kind of looked at who we thought some of the top guys were, which positions we thought were the deepest. Now we're going to take a look into that and dive deep. Who are some of these guys that they might not get all the attention now, but they will definitely make a roster and they can make an impact this year. So, Alex, I'm coming to you first, man. Some sleepers. Who you got, buddy?
All right, so I got three. I got two in the trenches and one on the outside. My first one, I'm going to Chapel Hill there. Willie Lampkin, the UNC interior offensive lineman. I really like his game. An absolute road grader, very physical, and I think he's going to be great at the next level here in a steal, probably third, fourth round. A guy that's getting overshadowed by his teammate on the same defensive line, also plays defensive tackle. Ole Miss defensive tackle J.J. Pegas, I think is how you say his name. He's third, fourth, fifth round in there, but I think he could be a difference maker. Obviously, Walter Nolan played right beside him. Overshadowed him a lot, but this guy is physical. I love his run stuffing ability. And my last one, kind of a guy, I just saw his name today actually and just looked him up a bit more, but Jalen Royals, the Utah State wide receiver.
I heard about him.
Didn't get to play much the last couple years, got in this year. Was well over 1,000 yards, well over 10 touchdowns, and then showed out at the combine, tied for the highest or the quickest 10-yard split. Very fast, great route running, great hands. I don't think this guy's getting enough love, and he'll be an absolute steal probably day 3.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah, I just started to hear about Royals and kind of the journey and where he came from, and I'm eager to see what he's able to do. If he gets picked up. EK, my man, what you got?
What's up, Sean? So I've got. I'll go for the three pick 'em too. It's going to be a little repetitive from the last time we talked, just because I mentioned some guys I love. Louisville quarterback Tyler Show. Never know if I pronounce it right. Absolutely love every time I got to watch him play. Big arm, big kid. The thing I love about him most, he reminds me, he's got a little of the Phillip Rivers, Matthew Stafford, throwing from all different arm angles. Just a really, really, really impressive kid. And being under the tutelage of Brom doesn't hurt either.
Oh yeah.
Also a big fan of Scourton out of Texas A&M. I think I mentioned I had nightmares about him for about 8 months as we prepared for Texas A&M. Isn't coming with the same hype he did into the draft this year as it was anticipated that he might. I think he's going to be a steal. He can rush the passer. He's really good at stopping the run, and he's actually not too shabby in coverage either. So I think someone's going to get a steal with that. And then, without diving too deep, there's a few safeties. Kind of looking for a sleeper. I really like Jonas Sanker out of UVA. When you can be impactful on that terrible of a team and defense as he was, he really cleaned it up. He hits hard. Coverage skills are a bit better than I think he's given credit for. So those are a few of my favorites coming into this one.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Will Kramer, my friend, what you think, man? Who you looking at? Will, are you there? Maybe you can't hear me. All right. You go. Okay. Yes. Yo, I'll go. Somebody that I was thinking about last time, and I can't believe I did not mention it. I actually talked to Eric about it the day before. We were talking about some things. Seth Hennigan out of Memphis, 4-year starter, incredible poise in and out of the pocket, great patience in finding a second and third receiver. Accuracy is a little at question. So I don't know how he's going to get if he gets drafted. It's going to be later, if that at all. So it's going to be interesting to see where he lands. But the guy is a natural winner. The guy broke all the conference records and a lot of the school records over at Memphis. I mean, the guy is poised, tough. One of the guys that I think, in this obviously quarterback draft, it's only top heavy, those two guys, and then it's a drop off in everybody's opinion. I think this is a guy that if he's able to get on a team in the right situation, could have great success and could be a solid leader on a team. And then next, obviously, I got to go with my position, running back. And if you watch college football, you don't think this guy would be a steal or would be a sleeper, but kind of where he went to school and the fact that the team didn't really do great is kind of bringing him down. Alex, you and I have mentioned him a lot. Devin Neal out of Kansas. The guy is explosive. The guy's electric. 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons. His last 2, he had back-to-back 1,200-yard and 16 touchdown seasons. We've all seen how Kansas has come up this last couple years, but just can't seem to get over that hump. And I think this is a case where the inability for Kansas to consistently win hurts his process. He didn't get all the eyes on him. And, for any of you anybody that's watched him, you know just how electric, how explosive this guy is. So any team that gets him, I'm hoping Washington's paying attention, because any team that gets him, he is definitely an X factor on a team. And then I don't know if Will, if this is one of your guys, but I got to go to College Park on this one. Number 10, Ty Felton. The guy showed up this year, almost 100 catches, 96 catches, 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns. When I look at him, the first thought I have, looking at his build and just obviously 10 and everything, is Tyreek Hill. You know what I mean? And you see him in some of those games. He is explosive. He is not cheetah speed, but he's definitely an explosive and kind of a gadget guy. And if you get him in there in those right situations, man, he can really take the top off. So I'm eager to see what he's doing. He's looking like maybe a 5th-round pick or lower, but he's one of those guys that I think could be a steal. Will, are you back with us?
Yeah. See, this is why I don't do virtual backgrounds, fellas. All I do is when you start getting close to me, I get the spinning wheel. So, yeah, sorry about that. I have some. So I'm gonna start off on offense. And Sean, you named one of my guys, but I'm just gonna do the running back room.
Yeah,
it's so hard with this draft to figure out where to go, because you've seen the success that Detroit and Atlanta had of grabbing a running back early and making that dynamic back that you've got there. Or you can go later and wait for guys in the second round and the third round, and still be prolific. So it's really difficult with all this talent to come from to kind of figure out which route to go. But some guys that, like you mentioned, Sean, if you're looking for some speed, Devin Neal out of Kansas, you said that. Brashard Smith out of SMU. Some guys that are, they're not going to be, your every down back, but they're your third down specialist. DJ Giddens out of Kansas State. Yeah. And then if you're looking for some guys who can be maybe first down, second down, and then that may be it, you're looking at an R.J. Harvey out of Central Florida, Damian Martinez out of Miami, Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech. Like, there's so many. Like, it's really hard. Like, Washington's a team that needs a running back. It's like, I don't know when you go in and go get it. So I think running backs can be a fun position group to watch, and we may start to see a run, whether it's the second round, whether it's the third round. You may start to see those runs where teams are like, oh shoot, we got one gone, then their other guy went, so we need to jump up and grab these guys earlier than they were ready to. So that'll be fun. The other offensive guy that I'm really curious to see what happens to him, because he was very hyped after one really good season, and then he did nothing this past year, is Juice Wells out of Ole Miss. Had he come out after his season in South Carolina, he probably would be a top, a day 2 pick. And now you didn't hear anything about him. So it'll be curious to see what his measurables, what his testing does. On defense, I'm doing what Alex likes, the interior guys. I'm looking at a guy out of Indiana named CJ West. All right. I'm curious to see, in the mid rounds, what he goes. And then the other dude, he's a Terp, Jordan Phillips. And so just kind of seeing, in that mid rounds, that 3rd to 5, where he may go. So those are some of the guys I've got my eyes on, where I'm hearing some positive things about.
Oh, I like that. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think and I think we could all agree this is one of the best parts of the draft. We all know the top players. We all know the first round, who's going to be in the first couple rounds. But it's looking for these guys. Who are going to be the steals, the second day, third day gems that come out there and really make an impact on a team. We all know about, say, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, the last quarterback taken, who got the opportunity in a great situation and just took off. Now he's going to get paid. These are the type of guys that want and live for that opportunity to get their shot. And most likely they'll be playing in the spring games and the bowl games, because they're not the top tier guys that get looked at all the time. But we watch them, Will. We watch. Absolutely. Oh, man. What is going on, Anthony? Saying E-Money in the building. And Alex is on the screen. Absolutely. Actually, we are live. So, hey, and look, let us know, guys, some of your sleepers, some of the people that you think could come out and, if they get in the right situation, on the right team, could really, truly make an impact. We're just scratching the surface of this conversation. But since we touched on it all Saturday, I didn't want to go too deep into it, because there's something else that I know a lot of people want to talk about. Handy, you being in the comments, you and I have talked about it multiple times. And let's be honest, everybody in the sports world is talking about it, even before this guy was in college football. But finally, the time is now. Arch Manning is finally QB number 1 with Ewers going in the draft. And, hey, we've been talking about it since the guy was in high school. In fact, we've basically been talking about it since we found out this guy was going to be a quarterback of some sort, because of Eli, because of Peyton, because of Arch, the whole family line. Listen, Will, I'm going to come to you. I know this is the guy. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to audible out. Alex, I'm going to go to you first. Arch Manning, we all know the hype. Is he going to live up to it, man? Is this it? Are we about to see some greatness?
I think so. Every time we've seen him step on the field in that burnt orange, it's been really good. Whether it's just the fourth quarter running out the clock and he makes a splash play here or there, or when Quinn Ewers went down for the couple games this season, and he had to step in and be the guy. And there was kind of that question of, can he do it? Will he do it? And boy, did he do it, to the point where people were like, why are you going back to Quinn Ewers? Like, this guy was the better quarterback last year. And I think he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in college football this year. I wouldn't throw him in the Heisman race right off the bat like a lot of people are doing. Let's see him get like a month here of actual game action,
please,
before we say that. But I expect really good things from him just from the little bit we've seen.
Oh yeah, and look, Erik, guy comes in against what was it, UL Monroe or something like that, takes a play 60 some odd yards on the ground. That was a part of his game that I didn't even know he had. That's the speed. The ability to just be so mobile. We've seen the deep ball. We've seen now he's around top tier talent. Whatever, you still got to play the game, and he seems to be as advertised. What do you think, man? Are we getting ready to see greatness?
Absolutely not. He's going to be pretty horrible. No, of course we're. I don't know that I'm ready to deem greatness, but I am ready to go ahead and crown that he's going to be at minimum a very good college quarterback.
Yeah.
To your point, the athleticism, I think he or they always say that his dad was the most athletic of the Mannings by far.
That's not saying that much, but
well, but either way, so that combined with, I think even in high school, his team as a whole he didn't go to these elite schools. He wasn't playing with the IMG talent around him. So I think they really had him in his roots. Developing him was important, but also, he made his team better. It wasn't like he was just, doing a Johnny Manziel, let me throw it up to Mike Evans and see what comes down. So I do think he's going to be very good. And then if Sarkisian thinks the guy is good, I mean, who am I to disagree with Steve Sarkisian sees?
Yes.
So everything to Alex's point. Sorry, I can't be as good as I know Don King is coming up next for Mr. Arch Manning. I'll pass it over if he's ready for it.
Yeah. I got to send it to you, Will, because and I think Erik made a great point that Sark seems to trust him. When they were in not the SEC championship, the first time they played Georgia, or maybe it was the SEC championship when they were struggling, and they put Arch in the ball game for a series to kind of revitalize. Yeah, that was the first game, right? They tried to get him in the series to kind of jumpstart that offense. That shows you that he can do it, but he hasn't done it a full 11 games in the SEC. So my question is, we know he has the talent, we know he has the ability, but can he last that full year in the gauntlet of the SEC?
Look at you all putting so much praise on the Southeastern Conference. I'm so surprised.
Just needs more for right now.
It does. It does. Yeah. Obviously that is the what everyone wants to see. And yeah, I think you're going to see him do just fine. What has been most impressive to me and why I'm all on the Arch train is the fact that he's going into his third year of college. And of all the hype that he had coming out of high school, did you ever think that he would pick a school where he would have to sit for 2 seasons before he had a chance to play?
Very true.
It shows how humble he is, how the family is humble, how they recognize, hey, there's a good quarterback in front of us. We're not, just because we've got the name and because we've got some ability in high school, we don't just get to walk on and be the starter. And that's not normal in these days. Players are expected to play. And it also makes me think, so now you're telling me that he's had a chance to sit for 2 years and he got previews last year where he got a chance to learn and see, and then now he's had another off season of getting bigger and stronger and watching film. So yeah, I think he's going to light things up next year. I mean, I can't draft here in this conservative state, but I'd put money up for him being on a Heisman candidacy. Not he's saying he's going to win it, but he very well could be in New York in December.
If he has any type of a good year, he's going to win it with that name and at that school. And
So I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch. I'm here for it. I'm normally not a Texas fan, but like I said, the person that you saw from the Manning family, I'm like, you know what? I can get behind this kid.
Yeah. And I think that's
fun to cheer for.
Right. Yes. For those of us that love Texas, this is great. All right, but we're not going to go there. But look, that's a great point, Will, because in this day of transfer portal where everybody is leaving, people aren't even waiting till the end of the season to leave. You have a guy with all of this hype, so much hype that the quarterback ahead of you makes a commercial and makes a little pun, a little joke at your expense, talking about, I don't need a backup. Clearly, you could have had some help from your backup, Mr. Ewers, but I'm not going to go there. But I think this is huge that we get bits and pieces. You're seeing the humility. And another thing I love, we know this kid's a Manning. Everybody has known this kid's a Manning since he first stepped onto the scene. But you don't see Arch, you don't see Peyton, you don't see Eli, any of them in there. And shout out to how Dion does it and the success he's had, and Shador and Travis and some of those guys are doing great things. But there's something to be said for that he didn't get that start and they weren't in the coach's ear saying, get my kid in there. As in a day and age, and I've coached a lot of years, Will, I know you're coaching right now, in the day and age where these parents are like, quick. If my kid is not starting, I'm taking him somewhere else. To see this type of stuff, and I know you can't do it to that extreme, but it has been done. I just think that says something about him. I think he's definitely prepared for this situation. I'm one of those, just call me Doubting Thomas. I got to see it. I got to see it consistently. I got to see him get hit that first time in the mouth in the SEC and really see him get back up and throw a dot down the field for 30, 40, 50 yards. You know what I mean? But I echo all of your sentiments. The guy has shown he has talent. We know he has the pedigree. I'm looking forward to a great year. And Heisman hype, yeah. He's. We joke about the way too early Heisman hype. Yeah, this guy's definitely it. Alex, what's up?
I just think there's one thing we got to point out here. We're gonna find out real quick what he is. Week 1, they're in Columbus playing the defending national champions. So we're going to see real quick how he can hang with top-tier teams.
Wow.
Woo. Baptism by fire.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'm not going to throw him out with the bathwater if he doesn't have a good, game in Columbus.
Yeah.
But your point is, I mean, if he comes out and he plays, then I might change my really good to greatness real fast. I want to throw one more thing in there, Sean.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be real quick. I gave the Steve Sarkisian approval. What I completely forgot to give was the David Cutcliffe approval. David Cutcliffe believes in him, then I sure as heck do. And David Cutcliffe has talked about him many times. Of course, he was in Durham during some summers when David Cutcliffe was running the QB camps and all that good stuff. So if it wasn't his uncle, his grandfather, his other uncle, his father,
Right.
or David Cutcliffe or Steve Sarkisian, I mean, how many people?
Or Saban badly wanted him.
Yeah. How many people can either be an influence, a mentor, and kind of give that approval? And sometimes you just have to accept that, he's going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now look, with that being said, and we're not going to stay here long, but with that being said, Will, you alluded to it, and Alex, you did too. If the guy has the year we're expecting, mostly he's going to be in the race for the Heisman. He's going to potentially get it. If that happens, let's just say he's in the 4 that go to New York. Is he gone next year?
You know, the Mannings make calculated decisions in where they go. And so I think we can't answer that today in April. That is a December answer to find out who is looking like who would have the number 1 overall pick as to where they went. I mean, you saw what Arch did with Eli, and I think it's all about the franchise. If it's something like the Raiders, and if they don't trust, Pete Carroll and the guys there, then, I could see him sticking around another year if he's having that. Yeah, I think because it'll be interesting to see, how much teams would give up to get up that high for him. Oh, yeah. So yeah, yes, he very well could go pro. It's taking me forever to say it, but I think the Mannings are going to be very careful about where he goes if they can.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
See, I'm actually leaning towards no right off the bat.
Ooh.
Because if you've looked at Arch the entire time, the whole moral of the story has been development. Mm-hmm. That he's going to take his time, and when the time's right, he'll go. If you're looking at it, I mean, when he goes, he's likely going to be the number 1 pick, especially if he has as good a year as we think he's going to. But there's quite a few quarterbacks available in next year's draft. So if I'm him, there could be the thing of, I'll go play another year for Texas. Maybe the national championship means something to him. Maybe there's that aspect there. Or maybe it's just that I want to develop a little bit further. Mm-hmm. Go play 1 more year, then go after year 4 in Austin and be by far the number 1 guy in the draft.
And there's something to say for 2 seasons of a starter. I mean, we've actually started to see a trend in the league of the guys who are coming in with a lot of years in college are having a quicker transition.
Yeah, and the guys with 1 year starting experience not doing so hot.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that 1 year flash in the pan type stuff. Yep. Well, hey, we'll see what happens. And listen, Arch, if things don't go well your first year, you still got another year eligibility. Okay, we got money here in Chapel Hill. We got Bill. You want a pipeline? We got money up in Ann Arbor too. listen. You want a pipeline to the league? It's right here. Jump man, right to the league, baby. Let's go. Look, we are about to go to a quick breather, but before we do, we wanted to start something new where we have a CFU college football update trivia question. Speaking of Arch Manning, we know he is the third generation of the Manning legacy. We wanted to know, are there any other family legacies that span the course of 3 generations that made it to the league? We will answer that question for you guys on the other side. Tune in to my guy, Anton Benson, Awesome Artist. We'll be right back. Yeah, buddy. That was my guy, Anton Benton of Awesome Artisans. Definitely check him out. He lives in the Virginia Beach area. He will travel up and down the East Coast, and he travels towards the Midwest. Get in touch with him. Good stuff. So listen, before we left you and went on break, we asked a question. Arch Manning is a 3rd generation of the Manning legacy. Are there any other family legacies that span the course of 3 generations? I don't see any comments in the fan group, so I'm going to give it to you guys. Do you guys have any idea who some of the other families could be?
3rd generation?
3rd generation.
Whew.
The Golics. No, that was
Good.
only 2, and
I think that was only 2.
second generation wasn't very good. So
I mean, there's like 100 of them. It's got to be the Matthews, right?
Yep, that's one. That's the what a lot of people call the first family of it because it was Clay Matthews Senior, Clay Matthews Junior, Bruce Matthews. Then you or wait, Clay
Jake and
Matthews. Yep, Jake Clay the third. They had like 7 of them in the league. Yes,
This
yes.
one's good.
Absolutely. That also is the correct answer.
I believe Philip Rivers' son was on NC State's campus here recently working out.
Which one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the oldest. Sorry, the oldest of his 10.
Golly, my
Great
God.
Ugh.
Oh, me.
Wolfpack might be able to just go from one Rivers to the next here in the next couple seasons.
The river
Well,
keeps
yeah.
flowing.
The Matthews family was the biggest, like the biggest, like, oh yeah, those guys were legit.
Yeah.
I can't think that's what makes it so crazy.
Yeah. Eric, what you think? You got any guess?
no. Other than Alex guess with the Matthews, and of course, if Arch turns out to be what we all just said we thought he was going to be, nobody's going to think about the Matthews
No.
anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So the only other 2 families, there's this Arch will be the third if he gets to the league. The only other families, there's 3 other families: the Matthews family, the Suhi, Matt Suhi from the Bears, his dad
Oh, yeah.
Steve. His dad Steve played, and then their dad Bob Higgins played back in the 30s. And then a name I don't know, the Pines, George Pine, the second played in I believe the 50s. George Pine the third played 20 years later, and then Jim Pine played. So there's only 3 families to this point that have 3 separate generations that have made it to the league. So hey, kind of crazy stat. Like Will brought it up that this could be a very unique situation. When have we seen 3 generations go to the league, and if things go the way we think they're going to go, have success in the league? And I mean, once Archie gets in the league, guy gets a Super Bowl, then all of a sudden you're saying 3 generations of quarterbacks that have won a Super Bowl or something like that. You know what I mean? So the stories and the stats and the facts are just going to come out. It's going to be great. But that was our college football trivia question. We're going to go ahead and move on. We appreciate you guys being here with us on College Football Update. Hey, it's going to be 2025. It is 2025. The draft is coming. College football is right down the line in August, so we're getting excited about it. There's a lot of Cinderella teams, a lot of those teams out there that came out of nowhere and did great things. Obviously, we know about the Arizona States, the SMUs, some of these teams that maybe, Boise State, some of these teams that they, maybe the consensus was they didn't belong, or maybe we had to see what they could do. Unfortunately, in some situations, they got crushed, but the story of them getting to that place, looking at Navy and Army and how well they did going throughout the season until they kind of faltered in the end. I'm going around. Eric, I'm coming to you first. Who will be this year's Cinderella team? It could be anybody, because a lot of people did outside of in South Bend. A lot of people weren't thinking Notre Dame was going to go to that final game, but they took it all that distance. So who's going to be some Cinderella teams this year?
Don't you dare compare us to Cinderella team.
I was going to say NIU. They didn't make it far after y'all. So
What is that nonsense? Yeah, I think of the Indianas of the world. I think one team that maybe I'm kind of hopeful for and rooting for is Kansas State. I think they're in a very easy conference to navigate, and they've got a few really, really fun players. Avery Johnson had a great year last year. Jace, I think last name Boyce, receiver, had an outstanding year as well. And then running back, they lost one of the guys that Will mentioned earlier in DJ. But I am fascinated to see what Dylan Edwards does. His short year at Colorado, absolutely electric when they got the ball in his hands. Even last year when he transferred to Kansas State, still a really productive season behind a very, very productive starting back. Colin Klein, since he's got to Kansas State, has done a really, really good job. So I might be rooting for them more, but I definitely think they've got the pieces to make a run in the Big 12. And if we're talking Cinderella, getting into the dance is the biggest part. And I think they probably have one of the easier paths to navigate for a Cinderella team. I'll add an insult as well as just one other team. And this is less of projecting them to be a Cinderella, but I'm really fascinated to see what happens in Southern Cal.
I was thinking that.
They invested a ton of money this past year in their football program after Lincoln hasn't gotten much done so far out there. So I'm really curious. They've got a lot of great players. They're throwing out the money with NIL. I really like Jordan Mayava when we got to play against them. And the pressure, there must really be a pressure to win now, the way they're throwing money at the football program. I don't know that Lincoln has that much time left if they don't make a good run. So again, I'm not projecting it. I anticipate they're going to lose in October for sure. But otherwise, yeah, I'm really excited to see what Southern Cal, what comes of them.
Oh, I love that. Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Will, who you got, man? How far is South Carolina going?
So here's what's kind of interesting about the SEC is there's a lot of replacing of talent that needs to happen on programs that are normally middle of the road to good, that have lost a lot, that we need to see. So you're going to have your we've already mentioned Texas and Georgia, and you've got LSU with Nussmeier quarterback. So those could be the top three going into it. But you've got Tennessee that has to replace, some top end talent. And can Heupel keep that going? So that's going to be kind of the question mark. You've got Alabama, who's lost their quarterback, and you brought in a new offensive coordinator. So there's just a lot of questions. Ole Miss, are they going to be able to replace it? So it makes me kind of wonder with the Gamecocks, the fact that you've got a quarterback in place. He's got his offensive coordinator has been elevated. He was there last year to see what kind of run they are. But the team that it's the easy one, it's already been mentioned, but this is the make or break year for Billy Napier, and you get a full season of DJ Lagway, and he's had a couple years of recruiting. It's just, you gotta wonder, is Florida going to put it together this next year? The other one, this is the little bit of I just think he's a good coach. He's only an offensive coordinator at this point, but I'm kind of interested to see in year 2 of Bobby Petrino, who he brings in at Arkansas, and what does he do? Because the man knows how to coach college football. So I'm curious, they're not picked very high right now, but when you talk about that team that vaults themselves up, and with all these teams with the turnovers, of rosters, the Mizzous and that type of stuff, there could be room for Arkansas to have themselves a good season.
Ooh, I like that.
On that point, I've thought about this a bunch. Let's say Arkansas doesn't start out well. Is there a chance that Petrino becomes the head coach of Arkansas again?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Over Sam Pittman? I mean, they're waiting to get rid of Pittman. I can't believe they've kept him on.
Isn't it fascinating from the motorcycle to the fact that he could be the head coach again? That just blows my mind.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, when he was the head coach at Arkansas, they were a top 5 team.
Yeah.
Why, if you're Arkansas, why would you not do it?
Yeah, if Hugh Freeze can
You're right.
clear up his act, then why can't I get Petrino?
Yep.
Oh man. It's the SEC where we just hide or overlook more.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh, me.
Mean more.
That's yes, that's right.
There we go. That's the new catchphrase.
Alex, man, what you think, man? Who are some of your Cinderellas?
So I got three. I got two out of Power 4 and one in the Power 4. I'll start with the out of Power 4 teams. For me, UNLV.
Yeah.
With
There you go.
Genty leaving Boise State, Mullen coming in, who's a great coach, and especially he's going to be a great coach at or outside Power 4 conference. I really like what they're doing. It's going to be interesting to see who wins that quarterback job. I hope for their sake it's not Alex Orji, but he might actually be decent there. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I think that's a program that's done really well lately. And with an upgrade at coach, I think they can take that next step forward. I'm going from the Mountain West down to the Sun Belt. Arkansas State. I like Arkansas State a lot this year.
I like that.
Watching them in the big house this past year, I love Jalen Raynor, their quarterback. And he's young, and he took some lumps and stayed in there and made some plays. So I'm high on them this year. I think he can carry them, probably not playoffs, but near the top of the Sun Belt. I think that's absolutely reasonable for Arkansas State this year. And a team with a ton of turnover in the Power 4. Oddly enough, I think the game that's going to decide the Big 12 is the end of November. Kansas State and Colorado. I think Caden Salter going in there, taking over at quarterback, letting Julian Lewis learn for a year. I like, again, what they've done in the transfer portal. They've built up the roster even more, and it's not going to be so reliant on Shedeur to Travis Hunter. So I think it's going to be a better, more complete team. The offensive line's improved, both in the run and pass game, which was atrocious the past 2 years. So I think, like Eric said, in a weak Big 12, I think they're right in the running with Kansas State this year.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. And going from one weak division to another division that a lot of people have talked about, I'm going to my ACC. Yes, I am. I'm talking about, and part of it because the division's still kind of struggling. We don't know what Florida State's going to be. Clemson, while they dominate us, they're kind of up and down. So I'm looking at three teams in there. One we saw came in and had a dominant year last year and was last year's Cinderella, and that's SMU. They're returning, I believe, like 10 or 11 starters, including their quarterback, their running back. I mean, they've got the talent, and their schedule is very favorable. So I think we can see them, especially towards November, December, talking and having that same conversation we had from a year ago. I had UNLV as well. I just love everything about their progress, where they were going from last year. But staying in the ACC, I got to go with the team that gave Georgia everything that they can handle at the end of last year, and that's Georgia Tech. And I know it's been a long time since Georgia Tech has really been prominent and everything, but they're bringing back their quarterback in Haynes King. They're bringing back a lot of key starters, including Jamal Haynes, their running back. They have, again, another favorable schedule where their only real tough matchups, I believe, are Clemson and then Georgia towards the end of the year. So if you can sit there and win the majority of those games, get yourself into the ACC tournament, then you can potentially shock somebody and surprise somebody and get into the big. And then my last one, I wouldn't be me if I didn't. 12th overall in the transfer portal, new head coach, more money into the area. We have a solid roster. The quarterback conversation is going to be very interesting. So I don't know. A guy that we had from last year, I don't know. And Mike Johnson's not going to be back. So I'm I'm hoping somebody else comes up at the woodworks and comes in. But I'm loving what he's doing in-house as far as you're not hearing a lot of stuff. We're not. Yeah. You're hearing the stuff like the moves, things that being made, but there's not a lot of confusion. There's not a lot, and to go from Mac Brown and how great he was to another one, and it's just like that same kind of professionalism. It has us in Chapel Hill excited about the football team. In fact, we're more excited this time of the year, which is not common. We're more excited in March and April right now for football than we are for basketball. And that kind of says something about the basketball school that is UNC, that how things are kind of changing and evolving. I'm interested to see what Belichick does. Just for the simple fact that now we've got so many eyes on us and so much attention on us. Now let's and then the recruits, the transfers, these guys are coming in. Let's start to see what kind of talent he brings in, and then how that translates in what we still deem as probably the weakest of the Power Five conferences in the ACC, or week or two of in the ACC. So I'm very eager to see what North Carolina can bring to the table this year. So
I think everybody is.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, to win 8 games in the ACC should not be very difficult. So yeah, I think he's going to be successful there. He's going to be making them to the bowl games immediately.
Yeah.
I have to ask Will. He can finish this when I get the question off. There's something that they're doing in North Carolina right now, like all off season. It's this new exercise program that's changing the world. Will, what was that?
It works on your flexibility. It's called Pilates.
That was it. That was it.
Yeah. Hey, man, if you're in your 70s and you can do that, you got to give credit to that guy.
Come on.
Yep.
And we're getting younger. I don't know if you saw Lil Wayne was on campus. I mean, come on now. His young girlfriend is bringing the younger crowd in. Bill's hip. Bill is hip. All right, we're ready.
So let me ask you this. It was brought in by Ben and Alex. You would know this probably best, but what's going on in Tallahassee and what's going on in Coral Gables especially when it comes to replacing Cam Ward and another year of what's his name, Cristobal?
Well, I mean, Miami, it's Carson Beck.
Yeah,
he's going to be the guy there. That's right off the bat. They're handing him the keys. I just realized that was kind of a George pun, but neither here nor there. As far as Tallahassee, that's a good question. It seems like it's kind of tear it down and rebuild almost. Like I haven't heard much about who the quarterback's going to be. Haven't heard much about like the top big name players that are going to be wearing their colors this year. There hasn't been much.
So
Ukulele's not there anymore, right?
No, but they did get a good quarterback. So
they get Castellanos from Boston College.
They got Castellanos, and then and then they got Malzahn. So as a coordinator,
that's right.
Gus has been nothing but fantastic.
Yeah.
So
That's right. He stepped down as the UCF head coach to go be the OC.
That's wild.
Yeah. Is he waiting for Norvell to get canned and take over there?
Right.
But they just gave Norvell a friggin' that giant extension. So
I just can't see. It's just too fertile in Florida to not build that program back up.
Yeah.
They lost a lot too, though. Just through the portal and that good stuff. So it'll be interesting. But Norvell, I mean, he made his name doing a lot with less. So I could see them bouncing back and being a pretty good team, even if the names don't pop out at us.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Hey, Sean, why will we count on Carson Beck when he wasn't good enough to be the Georgia quarterback?
Listen, Carson is a stud, all right? and he was on, and last year at this time, he was on the Heisman list, okay? So for all those Georgia guys, I'm telling you, for all you Georgia guys, watch out.
Is he regretting his decision right now? I mean, now that he's been dumped and, I know he's made a ton of money, but could he not have gotten that money staying at Georgia?
I mean, for all your talk about how weak the ACC is, he should be loving his decision.
That is true.
I know I'm sarcastic half the time, but I don't think he is like regretting that decision because, I mean, before the playoff games, or at least the playoff game with us, they had already walked him out of the door. I mean, the way that they, I mean, respectfully, even there's some guys that I love that we talk to sometimes that it felt they had already anointed the backup to be better than Carson Beck. And if that is coming from our friends, that's coming from the program as a whole, or it's at least it's not being stopped, and that is just as
Yeah.
bad as passing the message on. So I
Mhm.
really don't necessarily think he probably had a choice unless he was gonna
Good point.
Yeah, I think it
tuck
was
his
draft
tail.
or transfer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And look, and another thing about that team, we look at that Georgia team. I mean, yes, they had ETN, but they struggled with the run game. They didn't really support him there. The wide receivers had the most drops in college, last year. So and a lot of two of them, I know what Smith and Dominic Lovett both left. So what is he coming back with? I mean,
Well, and the
is
offensive
there,
line wasn't that good, and they're losing 2-3 starters to the draft. And
exactly. Exactly. I think he made a business decision because they might be. I mean, Will, you talked about some teams that have to replace a lot of talent. Georgia might be in that conversation because we know talent either went to the league or to other facilities that they might be shackled to. But you know, they got a lot of people out of there, and he might have said he saw the writing on the wall. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll
I'd
see.
be interested if Handy or Colin are in the chat, just if they had, is it a quarterback competition in Athens right now? Is there
Hmm.
someone?
but
Yeah,
it's
is
like
there?
who's even there
Zach,
besides
he's in
Gunner?
there. It's
Because
Yeah, I mean Gunner
what's his
was
name transferred out
solid, but
again? The guy that's transferred like 100 times.
Rashada,
Yeah, thank
yeah,
you.
Jake Rashada, yeah.
Um,
So did he transferred out after he? I thought he left now, right?
Rashada, yeah, he's gone
Okay, where'd he go?
again. That's a good question. I'll look it up.
Interesting.
Right now, Georgia has Gunnar Stockton, Ryan Puglisi, and the 2025 recruits Hezekiah Millender and Ryan Montgomery.
I know that Ohio State was big on
Yeah.
Puglisi. He was a pretty big time recruit. I just don't know if there's an actual competition there or not.
So Rashada currently does not have a team. He's visiting Western Kentucky this week.
All right, Hilltoppers. All right.
Don't
Yeah.
know who's the coach.
But they've done good with quarterbacks recently. That's
Yeah.
one thing.
They had
They
Petrino.
had,
Bailey Zappi.
yeah.
Is it
Austin Reed?
is it Butch Jones there now? Who's there now? Or is Butch at? I can't remember where Butch is.
I want to say. I
not
think
West-
Butch is.
It was Petrino.
Butch is at Arkansas State. That's where I remember
that's
that
right.
from.
That's right.
Oh, is he? Gotcha.
And then
Caden Veltkamp.
yes, he's done very well with the quarterbacks recently here.
If we're going to talk about quarterbacks that transfer all the time, how can we not talk about the Cinderella that is Bowling Green with Eddie George and Drew Pine?
I thought about putting them in the Cinderella run here.
Yeah, I think I went to high
Really
school with
see
Drew
that.
Pine. Yeah, he's been around.
I don't even know who this guy is, but Eric just blasts this kid.
No,
He
no,
was at Notre Dame 2 separate times.
yeah, I actually I love him. So it's kind of like Tommy Rees. Tommy Rees, I love Tommy Rees. Thank you for doing all that you could. You should have never played quarterback for us. And Drew Pine was the same way. But you're right. He did leave, and he went to Arizona State,
Yep.
and then he came back to finish his degree,
Yep.
and then he left and went to Mizzou. He started a couple games when Brady
Yes.
Cook was out last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is.
So
the
he
name
could
I
be really
recognize.
good, but it was just painful to watch him.
I think at Bowling Green though, I think that could be a really good
Agreed.
spot for him.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Tommy Rees could have been an amazing MAC quarterback, but
Yeah.
Some of these guys who do really well in the MAC, but that's something I really do want to, and I'm glad you brought that up. I want to see how Eddie George is going to be, and some of these new coaches that are taking over in these
Yeah.
situations. How are they going to really do? When Dion came a couple years back, we were all kind of questioning, and then we've seen kind of the success he's had with recruiting and with on the field play, and now you see this influx of the Michael Vicks and Deshaun Jacksons and Eddie George. A lot of these guys coming up and taking on schools and really kind of elevating. I want to see, can they
your
have
school's right in that
success?
too.
I mean, Big Bill. I
Can
mean,
an NFL coach come to college and play ball?
very true. Very true. Very true. So there's a lot of coaches, and that's something that I definitely think we should talk about going on later down the line. But listen, that was our 2025 Cinderella teams. Great conversation. Hey, we're going to go ahead and head out of here. We appreciate all you guys in the comments. Ben, Zagnif, watching it, doing a soccer game and watching us, man, and just rapping with us about football. I know Andrew was in there. We appreciate you guys rapping with us, talking a little college football. This is what we like to do, even when we're not on here. We're going back and forth with tweets and voice messages and trash talk and all this good stuff. So definitely tune in, join us for the next time when we come back and get to a little bit of football talk, especially as we get closer to the NFL draft. So for my guy, Mr. Alex Loosemore, you see that South Carolina's finest, Will Kramer, EK Holiday. Oh, I see you. Yeah, buddy. And your boy, Sean Spencer. Hey, and before we leave, Will, myself, EK, all have lived in this Northern Virginia area. And if you lived around here, there's one name that's synonymous with greatness, and that's Ovechkin, baby. Shout out to Ovi breaking the record, 895. He broke the record, a record that a lot of people never thought would be broken by the great one, Wayne Gretzky. It was a beautiful moment to see. I'm not a
identical amount of games too.
Right, right.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, one game less to actually break.
I think so. Yeah.
1 to 10, yeah. But I'm not even a huge hockey fan, but I love going to games. But I was somebody that definitely jumped on that OV train, getting us our first title a couple years back. And, we're in the hunt this year. That'd be sweet to just break the record, get the title, and go off. But I had to take a minute and shout OV out. This, obviously, all the guys, Will, Erik, you guys live in Northern Virginia, Alex, you're a huge hockey fan, and you know how much he's loved and revered in the sport. Definitely wanted to take a minute and shout him out for sure.
There was nothing more entertaining in sports than when they won the Stanley Cup and watching Ovi and his fun time with the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, Will, but
it was crazy.
Poor memory, as they say.
Yes, that was the fountain and the bender that he went on. He deserved it. He deserved it. The craziest part about that is how he rejuvenated hockey in DC to where you have Redskins dominates, and then the next important thing to people became Caps hockey. And it's just it's awesome. And the fact that he did it by sniping another one. It was
right from his same spot.
Yeah,
left circle.
Right. Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah, buddy. So definitely shout out to him, and actually shout out to as far as college basketball, Florida got their third title college basketball, and then beautiful right at the end. I mean, and you talk about Houston's a team that's defense, and Florida showed up in those last two possessions and shut down Houston and all that. So great ending to that one. And then I know this is a little sore spot for my guy in South Carolina. Shout out to UConn dominating in the national championship. Paige Beckers definitely getting that farewell out of here. So shout out to all of those. And hey, with that being said, we're heading out of here, guys. So we appreciate you guys joining us. We'll see you all next time. Stay up, be easy. College football update. We're out.
College football update. It's with your host, Sean Spencer. Hey, Alex.